What is going on, YouTube family? Welcome back to VW Family Farm. And today I want to just talk to y'all for a minute. Let's just say we are getting personal today. So stay tuned, come along with me. I'm going to share some stuff with you that I don't know if I should or not, but I'm going to. Okay, I have been thinking for a while about doing this video. Ben and I have kicked it around and talked about it and thought, nah, let's don't put something like that out there. Because let's just be honest, people do YouTube for all different reasons, but no matter what your reasons are, you're kind of letting people into your life when you start posting videos, especially vlogs and things like that, which was our whole reason for doing YouTube in the first place. Was let's give this a try. We were living the homestead life anyway, loved it, we're very passionate about it, but we wanted to let you guys in. That was our purpose, was to let y'all in, get to know us, and hopefully we could minister to people along the way. So living an open book involves living an open book. You got to tell people really what you're struggling with, really where you're at. If you just do the highlight reel like people used to put just on Facebook and Instagram, we heard that for a while, like if you're just comparing yourself to the highlight reel, you're gonna feel pretty bad about yourself, because a lot of people don't put out there the negative stuff. So today I'm airing our dirty laundry. We are gonna talk about losing weight and how we plan to do it, because Ben and I are on a plan. It's serious around here. We are gonna lose some weight. It's time. But first I want to start at the beginning. So I want to tell you a story. When I was in 7th grade, I was woken up one morning. It was a Saturday morning. I'll never forget it. I still feel like I'm there. It's one of those memories that's so vivid to me. I remember what my room looked like, how my room was arranged, the bed I had in my room at that time. I can still feel it. I can remember my dad reaching up and shaking me. And I was, like I said, I was in 7th grade. It was a Saturday morning. My brother and I were going to a band event. I was in band at that time in like junior high. And my mom was the stay-at-home mom. She was always there. When we'd come home from school, she was always there. She was the mom that always cooked. She was the homemaker. She worked sometimes here and there, but she was a mom and a homemaker, a wife. And my dad woke me up. I thought that was weird, because he never did. It was always mom that was the one waking us up and stuff. And he said, you need to get up. Mom's in the hospital. You're still gonna go to your band event. She's gonna be okay, but she's had a heart attack. And that rocked my world. It changed my life, changed the course of my life. It changed our whole family's life. When you're in 7th grade and your mom, out of the blue, that you think is healthy, has a heart attack. Now, that was the days before stents. So she didn't have open heart surgery, but she had a procedure that they don't even use anymore. I won't go into all that, but they don't even use this procedure anymore. And she actually kind of got lost in the heart doctor system for a few years there, and she just recently went back. That was in the early 90s that she had the heart attack, and the doctor could not believe that she'd not had another one or had some sort of episode, that the procedure he did on her, he said, we don't even do that anymore. So long story short, she's been an awesome success story, but part of that is because that was a wake-up call for her and for our whole family, and that is when the healthy eating journey began for me and for our whole family. Fast forward a couple years, so she radically changed her diet, went on Weight Watchers, and that's a great program. But even at the time, Weight Watchers back then was just like dare I say, the American Heart Association. They put out all these guidelines. It feels kind of bad to speak against such a big organization like that, but they just went with the research they had at the time, and that was the phase of fat-free this, fat-free that, low-fat this and that, and that's what we ate. We didn't eat cheese. We ate fat-free cheese product slices. You know what I'm talking about. And you could eat 2 sandwiches at lunch because there was hardly anything to the sandwiches. Like, the bread was so low-cal and the cheese and meat was so fat-free and all that fat-free mayonnaise. And now to this day, I cannot stand that stuff because we ate it so much. My mom and dad don't even eat like that anymore. They told her not to eat eggs, so we didn't eat eggs very often. We ate turkey instead of beef a lot. So we had things like eggs and beef and things, but not very much. So that was my first experience with healthy eating. Okay, fast forward a couple years. I'm a teenager, mid-teen. And I had just come through the awkward stage, the middle school stage with where you look back and you're like, cannot believe I wore that. Cannot believe I did my hair like that. Mom, why'd you let me go out the house? So one summer, I lost some weight. I never was fat, but I would call me like chubby in middle school. And I lost some weight over the summer, and just the more I did, I thought, I like this. I like how this feels. I like how my clothes fit. People are noticing me, things like that. And I got carried away with it. Now, you're probably thinking, well, your mom's heart attack and all that radical change and then those go hand in hand. I'm giving you the short version. So there were several years span in between there, and my mom's always felt like her heart attack's what caused my eating problems. It's not. I've told her it's not. It's not. It would have happened anyway. I just have that type personality. I'm an all or nothing. And when I went all in on this losing weight thing, and I didn't even need to lose weight at the time, now I look back and I'm like, girl, you looked good. You should have just enjoyed it. But when I went all in, I went all in. And I wound up with, it never was a diagnosed eating disorder, but that's what it was. My body suffered. I had physical changes from how little I was eating. I could starve myself no problem back then. I ate very little. And when I did eat, I agonized and obsessed over what I had eaten. I was thin as a rail. But I thought I looked good. I thought that was pretty. So, fast forward a little bit, I met Ben, and he is the best thing that ever came into my life on this earth. He is steady as a rock. He always has been. He's always been there for me, and I do believe he is part of what pulled me out of that. So that's just a little bit of my story with healthy eating and with dieting and weight loss and all that. So I have a bit of a warped sense of healthy eating coming into this. When I reached adulthood, all I knew was like the fat-free craze, that or don't eat at all. So I always thought that I was someone who couldn't eat and stay a normal weight. Well, that's simply not true for me, and I think that's not true for a lot of us. Now, there are some people who, no matter how little they eat, they still gain weight. I get that. But I've since figured out there is a healthy way to do it and go about it, and what I'd done in the past was not it. So, fast forward to my adult life. Ben and I are what you would call foodies, probably. We love food. We love raising food. We love cooking. We love eating good food. That's just our hobby. We don't go out and party or anything like that, but we like to cook a good meal. That's our thing. And we like good stuff, and it might not always be healthy stuff, but we're working on that. So that's where we're coming from. Our problem is you can gain weight eating traditional foods and eating healthy foods. Let me say that again. You can gain weight eating healthy foods if you overdo it. Anybody can. Y'all know it's true. You can eat too much of anything. And that's, again, my personality is I'm all or nothing. And that's what I'm working on for 2019. And that's why I'm making this video. We've kicked it around for a while to put it out there, but you know what? Once we put it out there, we're vulnerable, because some of you that watch us, we know you in person, and you're gonna be looking at like, what are they eating? Oh, are they not on their plate anymore? Look how much they got on their plate. Stuff like that. But I'm putting this out there to make us accountable. And because we're determined this time, especially me, and I control a lot of the meals around here because I cook them, we're gonna do it. We're gonna get this right, and we're gonna do it, because I don't want to wind up having a heart attack at a young age. My mom wouldn't want that for me. Ben already has a few health things that we want to work on. So that's where we're coming from. There is a way to do it and still eat traditional foods. There is. Actually, there's a couple different ways, and that's what I'm going to tell you about today. And then you have to decide which route you're going to take. So let's review. I want to tell you about a couple plans we've done in the past. And I'm going to tell you a couple ways you can lose weight this year too with traditional foods. It just takes a little planning and effort. Probably if you're eating from your homestead, you're already eating the right kinds of foods. You just need to eat them in the right portions, because a lot of that is the key. Ben truly believes that portion control is the key to losing weight. And in a lot of ways it is. If you think back to our ancestors and our think back to great-grandparents and even grandparents, like my grandparents, how many of them had weight troubles. And believe me, please don't think I'm being judgmental, because I am preaching to the choir here. This is, I mean, it's something that it hits home with me. That's why I'm sharing it with y'all. So please don't think I know it all. I don't. I promise you. Or else I wouldn't be sitting here telling you that I need to lose weight. I know what to do, I just haven't always done it. So there you go. I'm opening myself up to y'all, and I know this is gonna make me vulnerable. Ben even cautioned me. He's like, that's a controversial topic. I don't know if you want to do that video, but I felt led to do it, and I think there's a lot of you that are interested in it too. So let's get right to it. First off, let's finish that question. Why were a lot of our ancestors not overweight like people are today? Well, one, they ate real food. There was no convenience foods. My mom and I were talking about that just the other day. And I told y'all my mom was almost 40 when I was born. So she's 40 years older than me. But when she was young, she said even when she got married, like when she was like 20. I'm not gonna tell you what year that would have been, because I'm not gonna do that to her. But anyway, she even said there was no chips. She said you didn't eat sandwiches and chips every day, because there wasn't chips. There wasn't all these snacky foods like we eat now. They weren't to be had. And so I think that's number one, is they ate real food. Number two, they got out and worked. Everyone that was able to pretty much had a garden, because if you wanted to eat a variety of foods, a lot of them you had to grow. Also, they ate earlier, I think, in the evening, because not everyone had electricity. Think about it. They were probably eating earlier in the evening, and then also they got more sleep than we do now. And they drank more water. That's some of the things I truly believe they did different than us. Number one, because there wasn't a ton to drink other than water. They went to bed earlier because there wasn't a whole lot else to do in the evenings. Things like that. So let's get to these plans. I don't wanna make this too long to where I lose y'all. These are just some real food plans we've done. Now this one is extreme. This is the GAPS diet you hear about, and it really talks about the gut-brain connection, which they're researching and finding out is a true, huge, real thing. And this is about healing and sealing your gut. So if you have major health problems, this would be a good place to start. Now it is very restrictive, but it does work. You start simple and then you add things in, and it's a quite lengthy process. But if you have severe health problems, leaky gut, these are like behavioral problems too that it has helped with. The research has been shown that it helps with these as well. Some of them are autism, dyslexia, depression, ADD, schizophrenia, things like that. That's a good place to start, but this is very restrictive. So if you don't have a major health problem, I don't know if I'd recommend it, to be honest, because unless you just feel like you need it, I don't know why you would start there. Okay? This girl has written, I've got 3 of her cookbooks, and it's called, this one's the original, I believe, and it's called Against All Grain. And this is gluten-free, grain-free, and dairy-free recipes. And they're really good, y'all. So if you have to be gluten-free, this is a good place to start, okay? Let me give you my little spiel on gluten-free. We did gluten-free for quite a while because we've done a lot of stuff trying to heal Ben's hands and his eczema and all that. It didn't heal him. That wasn't his problem. So if that is some of your problems, that you need to be gluten-free, dairy-free, all that, by all means go for it. But if you're just doing it, I hate to say this, but because it's kind of a fad, it's too hard. Why? You can soak in sour wheat and all those things and make them more digestible. But here's where we fell. And that's why I'm saying, why would you want to? Because if you're gonna totally go gluten-free and clean up your diet and just eliminate those things, that's one thing. And cook out of books like this and stuff, because this is using real food ingredients to be gluten-free. That's not what we did. There's lots of chips that are gluten-free. There's ice cream at the store that's gluten-free. There's breads at the store that's gluten-free, cookies, crackers, all that kind of stuff. That is great for someone to have occasionally that has to be gluten-free. That's fine. But here's what we started doing. Buying the gluten-free cookies and then eating them regularly. That's still not healthy. It's wonderful that they have those options for people that have to be gluten-free and occasionally want a cookie. Don't get me wrong, that's awesome. And they're actually good. But to just change from junk food that's full of wheat and sugar and all that to junk food that's full of gluten-free ingredients, I still think that's kind of missing the point. And it was for us. Again, I'm speaking from my own experience and preaching to myself as much as anybody else, okay? So, but if you have to be gluten-free, that's a great plan. And they're very healthy. I mean, I think if you do this, and this girl, let me say that, Danielle Walker, she had major health problems, like life-threatening health problems, and radically changed her diet as like a last resort. They had her in hospitals and just like, she was like bedridden, and she healed a lot of her problems through food. So there's a lot of information in her books if you need to go that route. Okay, this is another book I love, and I have Cultured Food for Health as well as this one's Cultured Food for Life. Now this is a great one to have if you're wanting to add in more cultured foods into your diet. And by that I mean kefir, kombucha, sauerkraut, all those kinds of things. Culturing vegetables and fruits and sauces and dips and all those kinds of things. This is a great book to add in cultured foods to your diet, okay? So, how do you lose weight eating real food? How does that go together? How do you drink full fat milk and eat a steak and eat a potato you've grown and all those things and still lose weight? Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple of ways that you can do that. One, I love this plan. This is called Trim Healthy Mama. This is based on the premise of separating fats and carbs. So you're either eating what they call an S meal, a satisfying meal, which is high fat but low carb, or you're eating a higher carb but lower fat meal. You just don't eat them together, and you put a certain amount of hours in between. Now, if you're gonna do this plan, it's very doable, and it's very doable with traditional foods, okay? Wardy at Traditional Cooking School has done this and lost like, I wanna say she said 30 pounds the year she did this, eating real food. So she would be a great resource to look at. Ben and I have done this for times, like when you're gonna go on a trip, this is a really doable plan because you can go into a steakhouse and eat a higher fat meal. You can eat a steak with buttered vegetables and a salad with full fat dressing, and you've got a good meal, okay? Or you can go and do like a higher carb meal, like a sandwich with some lower fat meat naturally and mustard instead of mayonnaise, stuff like that. Totally doable. I recommend if you're gonna try to lose weight that way, that you get that book, because there's science behind it. It's a little more complicated. I'm kind of simplifying it for y'all, but that is a great way to do traditional foods and lose weight. Okay, I love this book. This is a must have for traditional cooking, in my opinion. Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. I've showed y'all this before, but I mean, this book, I've looked at this book numerous times. This book has helped me learn so much about traditional cooking. So this alone, it's not a diet plan to lose weight, but it has every food group in it. If you're wanting a plan where you don't cut out whole groups of food, this is the one. Because if you're gonna eat bread, it tells you how to make sourdough. If you're gonna if you're gonna eat nuts, it shows you how to soak them and then dehydrate them back out. Everything from fruits and vegetables and fish and how to cook all these things. Just everything's in here. I can't even tell y'all everything that's in here. How to make pies and desserts and stuff using more natural sweeteners that are gentler on your blood sugar, things like that. That is a great resource. You need this book. I can't say that enough. You will use it so much you will wear it out. Okay, so how do you lose weight eating these foods? Well, Trim Healthy Mama will teach you how to do that. That's one option. But there's a lot of thinking, getting that plan learned, and a lot of separating of like not eating fats and carbs at the same time. That's one option. Just think of it like this: separating the milk and the cream, the milk being the carbs and the cream being the fat. You don't put those together, okay? So like I told you, we've had success with Trim Healthy Mama. We've also had success going low carb. So just basically cutting out bread, crackers, cereal, pasta, all those things. We've been able to do that because we raise a lot of things that contribute to a low carb lifestyle. We raise a lot of vegetables, we raise meat, things like that. However, I find myself coming back to this: am I gonna be able to stick to it? And I know a lot of you do, and you're so awesome for that, but I just can't. When I cut out whole groups of food like bread and things like that, I start like thinking about bread. Like, I just want a big piece of sourdough, things like that. And the more I try to like cut things out and starve, basically, my body, I think it's because I starved it back when I was young, it goes into like starvation mode, and food is like all I think about. I don't know if y'all are like that, but you put me on a diet where I'm hungry all the time and food's all I think about. I'm thinking about, oh man, I want a piece of cake. Man, I'm missing this. Man, I'm never gonna have this again. I don't know if y'all do that, but I do. So instead of going on a plan where I'm cutting everything out, this is what we're doing. And I'm gonna document it along the way. My first goal is to lose some weight in the next like 8 weeks, because then it's gonna be the Deep South Gathering, and I have a goal that I wanna meet by the time we go to that. So I'm gonna be taking you along with me. This is not the last you're gonna hear this, but what I'm doing is I looked up how many calories I should be having and how many Ben should be having, and you can get your amount of calories to lose 2 pounds a week, 1 pound a week, 1.5 pounds a week, whatever you wanna do. But let me just say this. If you look up how much you should eat, which when I looked up how much I should eat for a woman my age and height and all that, a day to lose 2 pounds a week, I should only eat like 1,200 calories. I cannot do that. We work on this farm every day. We work hard. We're burning calories. Like I said, I think from my past, my body just goes into like freak out mode, and I cannot starve. I cannot physically do it anymore, because then I just turn into like someone who wants to eat everything that's not nailed down. So what we are doing is we took the calories we're supposed to eat to lose 2 pounds a week and the calories we're supposed to eat to lose like 1 pound a week, and we're going somewhere in the middle. I don't know yet how that's gonna work out on weight loss, because I'm gonna try. Another key to this losing weight with real foods is don't be a slave to the scale. Eat correct portions. Have a loose amount of calories you know you're supposed to eat, but don't get carried away with it, and it will come off. If we will stop all the processed junk, and I know us as homesteaders don't want to admit that we still eat those things, but think seriously about the times in the last week that you've eaten some sort of junk. And I think it would surprise you, because it does me. I'm like, man, I'm not doing as great as I thought I was. So what we're gonna do, I have these sheets. I'm not a techie person. I'd rather have a piece of paper and a book than trying to look everything up on a phone or a tablet. That's just me. But there's tons of places to look up how much calories are in stuff. What I'm doing is Emily's made me some cute papers, because she's all crafty and artsy, and I'm writing down stuff from our real whole foods that we grew. Every time we eat a new one, I'm looking up how many calories it has and writing it down. Now, you go on somewhere like MyFitnessPal, that's a free app. It will tell you how many calories you're supposed to have. It's a great app, but here's my problem with it. I don't have time. I don't want to spend that much time thinking about what I ate and food. I told y'all I've gotten carried away with that once before, and I figure some of you have too, that have been on plans like counting calories or counting whatever's, carbs or whatever. I don't want to think about food that much. I want to eat to live and then walk away and go live my life, not be ruled by how many calories I ate. So what I'm doing is, even on MyFitnessPal or on just Googling how many calories are in a banana or whatever, you may get 4 or 5 different answers. So what I'm doing is, the first time I eat it, I take the average of those somewhere in the middle. If it says 80 and 120, I'm probably gonna guess 100. And I'm writing that down so that every time I eat that thing, I don't have to go back and look it up and do a bunch of figuring a bunch again. I can just figure it real quick. And I'm not gonna be a slave to this calorie counting. I'm gonna have a roundabout figure that I know breakfast and needs to stay around, and lunch. That way I've got enough calories to eat a decent supper and stuff. But I'm not gonna live and die by this calorie counting. Because you know what? If I get this under control and I'm doing a roundabout figure for breakfast and lunch and doing pretty good at supper and stuff, just the fact that I'm cutting out all this sugary junk and cookies and crackers and junk that seems to inundate us, that alone is gonna help you lose weight. So don't be a slave to the calories. Get your roundabout figure you know you wanna stay at. But if one day you eat that piece of pie because it's your mama's birthday, don't let that derail you. That's life. We're not saying we're never gonna eat anything and splurge again, but don't quit your plan to do that. Just say, I planned that, I let myself do that, and I'm gonna get back on it tomorrow. Another few things we're doing besides just roughly counting calories, which we're not going to, like I told you, live and die by. We're making sure those are good calories. Those are nutrient-rich calories, because you know what? I could eat a cup of green beans at supper for 40 calories, or I could eat a cup of green bean casserole for who knows how many calories. And I'm gonna be just as satisfied with the green beans. Now, I love me some green bean casserole, but if I wanna do this, I'm gonna have to make some choices, and I'm gonna have to leave some things off. But it will be worth it when we feel better and we're at a healthy weight and all those things. A few more things we're doing to help us lose weight in this new year. Drinking water. We're pretty bad about drinking coffee. I love coffee. I have to admit that to y'all. I am a coffee addict. And I'm not cutting it out totally. I'd be lying if I said I was. But I am gonna drink more water. I'm not gonna go crazy because I can't drink like 1.5 gallons a day. I'm not even gonna pretend. But I could drink a couple quarts. So I'm gonna shoot for that because that's realistic for me. Also, another bad habit that we're trying to break that I think will help us. Eating too late. Lunch winds up being too late, which by supper time we're not really that hungry yet, so we go outside, stay outside till dark, which is getting dark later and later, and then wind up eating at like 8:45 at night. That's gotta stop. We've gotta eat at a decent time so that then we're awake a couple more hours for the food to digest like it's supposed to. So those are just some simple things, making good choices. Make sure your calories you're using are counting for something, that it's food that's gonna satisfy you, not just something that in an hour you're gonna want more, because carby junk leads to you wanting more and more and more. Drink some water. Eat earlier. Do things other than just thinking about food. Don't always be sitting around thinking about your next meal. And I'm saying that to myself because that's me and Ben. Get out and go for a hike that doesn't involve food. Don't be a slave to the scale. That's a big one. If you're gonna eat the calories to potentially lose a pound and a half a week, think about that though. A pound a week, that's 50 pounds this year. 52 actually. But do you know what that's gonna look like on a day-to-day basis? For a pound a week, you're gonna lose 1/7 of a pound every day. Are you gonna notice that on the scale if you're weighing every day? And that's to me. So try to make yourself weigh once a week. I know it's hard. And also, just know that you can do it. Think about the fact this is what I think about. How many clothes do I have in my closet that are uncomfortable, that are gonna feel good again? Not necessarily going and buying new clothes, just the ones I already have that I wanna wear. And guys, if we start now, it's the 1st of January. We've got time before spring gets here to make some real progress and to make some real habits so that then it gets easier, because the beginning's gonna be the hardest. And also, just let me say some things. Just because this is the plan we're doing, most plans will work. I've heard wonderful things about keto, getting people off their insulin and things like that. There's several low carb plans out there right now. There's Whole30. Ben and I have done that twice. Those will work. They're more restrictive, and you just have to know yourself and your personality and know, will that work for you? But they do work. So I just encourage you, pick your own plan with traditional foods. There's several. You could go keto, you could do Trim Healthy Mama, you can count calories. All of those will work with traditional foods. They just all take commitment. But let's all do this together. If you are starting and you're gonna do it with us, leave us a comment. Let's all see what progress we can make before spring gets here. And I don't care how far you have to go. I don't care if you just wanna lose 10 pounds or if you've got 100 pounds. We all have to start, because it won't come off. The 10 that someone has to lose will not come off unless we start. So I hope this has helped you. It's just where we're at, and we're just trying to let y'all into our life and let you get to know us is basically the point of all this. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys tomorrow, and God bless.